Hi, my name is Yvonne Blomer and I'm in Victoria, BC on the traditional territories of the Wasanich peoples. My most recent book is Sweetwater, Poems for the Watersheds. I edited this anthology of 110 poets, all speaking to their concern and connection to watersheds. And Sweetwater came out with Caitlin Press last year. I'm going to read two poems from Ravine Mouse, A Bird's Beak. This is a chapbook I did with Nose in Book Publishing, and it comes out of an ekphrastic art show at the Robert Bateman Center that I did in my final year as City of Victoria's Poet Laureate. And luckily, the chapbook contains not only the poems, but also Robert's art. So the first poem is based on this painting, and is titled Circus Moon, Circus Train, after Robert Bateman's Circus Train Nighthawks. Candy wrapper moon, split-winged hawks, circus train. A dragon, silver and gold scaled, its lashing tail. How tent and train drew coin from candy-flossed hands, teased in by popcorn's buttery scent. This beast once chuntered across borders. Now the moon an opening in night where blue-gray puce seeps in. Here and then gone, a shadow, a species moving on a field you see and look for again. Faithful, swaying servant, rolling, articulated. It carried animals and humans, mover of low moans and quick laughter. Every rail and tie a rehearsal for the last show on earth. Waning moon, night-stilled hawk, broken-spined serpent. The oiled skin and painted smiles of ballerina, clown, strong man shine through, ghost shapes in splintered shafts. Light on this reptilian ride. Absence of whistle on a field where a kid stands, frayed jeans, eyes rolled to sky as puffed breath moves on wind. Luminous, empty moon, feral moon, night's coming, coming in. And the second poem is based on this painting. Because of the stance of the polar bear, I imagined a kind of guy in a bar. Here's the poem. Barfly, after Robert Bateman's long light polar bear. Brawny one, you lean like some bloke at the bar, nose lifted to catch the scent of a bearded seal breathing a mile offshore. Maritime bear, your moans and chuffs blubber breath, padded paws hold you to ice, ice the hard stool you balance on. Air swigger, you whiff bourbon in spilled motor oil along the Arctic shore, a sweetness you cannot resist. Styrofoam crisps, plastic Twizzlers rust from a car battery at the local dump. This want could kill you. You short-eared giant, you hunky boar, you statue carved from melt and salt. What will you binge on when winter does not come? Light is elemental as fur, you yellowing ice flow. Sun will melt you. Thanks so much for listening, and especially happy 45th anniversary to Turnstone Press, and thank you for doing these studio poems. It's been fantastic. Bye, everyone.
Hi, my name's Tanis MacDonald, and I am the author of Mobile from Book Hug and Out of Line, Daring to be an Artist Outside the Big City from Wolsak and Wynn. But I'm here today to read from my two earlier books, both published with Turnstone Press. Happy anniversary, Turnstone. I'm going to start with a poem from Rue the Day. And this is a piece of a poem, long poem called Banshee Hour. This winter, the myths have taken a sabbatical. February is a brisk caesura, the wind a hyperbolic whip. The truth used to trail me like a bloodhound. Let no day pass without discussing goodness or ghosts. I lost my wits on a rainy northern road beside a gray goose. In the war on logic, I have dug my own trench. By March, I'll sing the crone's song. No question, no answer. Still forget to count, add, spell out the calendar. I thought poems would last forever. I was wrong. This year the furnace claims pride of place. The bricks stay silent. The frigid floor conspires against all cadence. The road to my house cracks. The river's pressure ridge and open water. The sun a stark surprise. We rattle in the space we never expected to furnish. There is room here for more than our good ideas. If I blink too slowly, you vanish into the labyrinth of rooms. Who knows when you'll find your way out, and what you'll do then? Will you materialize when I spin a thread from my hair? I'll fling it down the open drain in the place where we landed. I'm also going to read a poem from Fortune, which is my other book with Turnstone. It's a bit of a different one. It's called Property. I was picking blackberries, getting pricked by thorns, worth a little bloodshed, I thought. When a man appeared in the middle of the bushes, I was having a religious experience. No one could stand in those thorns but Christ with his crown, so my mouth agape, my hands red with juice. I froze until the man said, "I'd like some of those myself." And I thought of all the stories in which God or a trickster pretends hunger to test the goodness of the mortal, and I knew it was right to be generous. But then again, he was one more man to feed, to gather and cook for, so I said, "There's enough for everyone, but you better get picking." The man's face darkened. I could see he was standing on a path through the bushes. He said, "This is private property." If my grandmother was alive, she'd be furious at the waste. And I thought of Bill Bissett and said, "Hey, nobody owns the earth." I thought that would settle it, but the man said, "Well, I own this piece of it. Get off my land, you dirty hippie." I knew he wasn't talking to me. Someone said those words to him 30 years ago when he bummed around the island, frazzle-headed and finding himself before the family money did, slept rough and loved a girl with hair down to her ass. He did all of this while I was in kindergarten, pining for the sophistication of grade 1, where it was rumored you could hold the book in your own hands. I offered him the berries I had picked, and he said that he was calling the police to see if I offered them berries when they slapped me with a trespassing fine. So while I waited for this generous exchange of opposites, I climbed back down to the beach and wondered if the man owned the piece of ocean in front of his land, the water that I went and washed my dirty hippie feet in while he watched from the bushes just in case I stole his share of salt. Thanks. I hope you've enjoyed this. Happy anniversary, Turnstone Press.